Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Pure Breath Program free info session. Before we start on January 6, 2025, I wanted to come up here and tell you guys a little bit about the program, how it's going to be different from our 2020 version of the Pure Breath program. So let's begin. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and start here. All right. So, welcome to the Pure Breath program info session. You are welcome. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to learn the deeper benefits, structure, and unique features of the Pure Breath program. So, the program purpose and mission. Why is this why this program specifically, and why not other programs? So, like, the purpose is to create like emotional resilience, mental clarity, and trauma recovery in particular. Now, this trauma recovery part is something that's really specific, that didn't exist before. And maybe I'll share a little anecdote why. But let me finish on the mission. So, the mission is to provide a safe, accessible space for individuals to build a lifelong breath practice, especially those facing trauma and stress. So, maybe I'll pause here to kind of like share with everyone why I needed to like revamp the Pure Breath program. So, really, what it was that in 2023, I kind of went through a period of time where I got PTSD from assisting a friend in a very difficult situation. And I was their only advocate. And what ended up happening was, as immediately as the person was kind of released from that situation, my body went into like a full-on trauma response. And I could no longer do the 3 hour breath practice that I normally have, which a lot of people don't know about. I don't really talk about it, or share about it. But in my own personal experience, could not do my own breath practice. And I kind of had to start from scratch, like completely from scratch. Like my nervous system was at an absolute zero. And I had to kind of like learn how to rebuild it and in very small incremental chunks. And what better way to do it than the program I created myself, which was the Pure Breath program. So I essentially put myself through my own program, and instead of the recommended dosage of like practicing like 3 times a day, I practiced it like 8 times a day because I knew I wanted to like heal like much faster. And also, I realized that I had a need to do that when I was in that state of PTSD. Like, there was a lot of things that I couldn't really focus my attention on. So, giving my full attention on this Pure Breath program and on the methodologies within it was really the thing that kind of got me back to it, which was fantastic because I was going to start my PhD on this program on PTSD patients specifically, yet what the previous recommended dosage was not sufficient. So it was only through personal experience, unfortunately, where I learned what the correct dosage of changing the methodologies in the Pure Breath program. So I'm here to basically kind of share that with everyone and to kind of offer like a only, I guess, a personal confirmed note of success that all of the PTSD symptoms like night sweats of heat and dizziness and insomnia have gone away completely after like 3 months, basically. And I largely attribute that to the Pure Breath program for sure. And what it did was it gave me a renewed sense that the Pure Breath program is phenomenal. And as much as the whole purpose of the Pure Breath program was to help people build a incremental breath practice, even for me, like someone who has quite an advanced breath practice, when you go back to zero, the way you restart building that up is actually incrementally the same way. So it was like, even though my nervous system kind of like knew, like I had to really go back to the basics essentially. So let's jump into it of what the Pure Breath program is and more about it. So, how the Pure Breath program differs from other programs is that in 2020, it was the first of its kind designed during the COVID pandemic with healthcare workers specifically in mind and trauma survivors as well. And that was more of a later thing. So that was more like after I was going through PTSD and I realized that this program could really actually assist the nervous system health of people who have experienced PTSD and possibly complex trauma as well. So, it's very safe for practice in PPE. So, like if you have a mask on, if you're doing surgery and your hands are occupied, these are still great breath practices to do because they're hands-free. And since I have been trained as a public health researcher in my past life, hands to the face is something that is not okay in an infectious disease control setting in particular. So I designed all of the breath practices, some yogic ones, which involve the hands on the face, like Nadi Shodhana, like alternate nostril breathing. None of those are included in the program, although variations of them do exist within the program. So, the breath program is very, very much like scientifically based and trauma sensitive as well. So, the techniques backed by research on trauma recovery and resilience, and its trauma-informed structure is designed to be safe and non-triggering and supportive of deep emotional work. And so, this is more of like the new aspect of where my recent training in trauma sensitive foundational training of trauma sensitive yoga from the Center of Embodiment and Justice basically taught me that like using choice is like a huge aspect. So like how much you would want to choose to breathe and the length is actually, I think you would be the best person for that. So there's a lot of guided choice taking in within the Pure Breath program of knowing like depending on whatever conditions you're working on, you will self-direct yourself as to how long to practice each of the breath practices and also according to your lifestyle and the time that you have allotted, etc. So the scientific support for breath work is that it's very evidence-based benefits. So studies show breathwork can reduce stress, improve respiratory function, and support emotional regulation. I mean, this is a very, very short list. Within the Pure Breath program, we go through a detailed version. And we also have a previous four-part series where I go into detail about when I was about to change it to call it the single breath program um, based off of like a Baha'i quote. But then now I'm actually going back to its first name due to another quote in which I originally called it out on, uh, named it based off of essentially. And so moving along is like how science supports this program is techniques selected for effectiveness in PTSD management, stress reduction, and anxiety relief. So regular progress tracking to observe measurable improvements over time is like done. So it's like you really get to visualize the progress that you're making as you're making it. So the program structure and weekly breakdown. So overview of weekly techniques is from the breath awareness is what we start with to the 360 breathing, which is the last. So how each technique supports a unique aspect of mental, emotional, and physical well-being. So the session formats examples structure is like you practice one breath, and then we're going to do like about a 20-minute lecture, and then we're going to practice the second round of breath, and then another 20-minute lecture, and then we're going to do the third breath. And then maybe another 20 minute of lecture. So it's basically like practice, teach, practice, teach, practice, teach. It's essentially that format. And the purpose is really to kind of every time we're doing like a lecture, we're doing the practice to really solidify the breath practice and giving ourselves time and time again to come back to the breath practice. So it's really the flexible learning style is like where you get to choose like how you want to practice the techniques. And ample support will be given to you as to like how to do that. And this is part of like the trauma informed approach that we're going to be using in this program. So the supportive features of the program are number one, you're going to start with a 1 hour personalized intake with yours truly. And I'm going to assess like your whole life essentially, and like what are all the aspects and different layers of the body using the integrative yoga therapy module, the physical, the energetic, mental, and emotional, witness, and the bliss bodies, all five of them to kind of see where you're at in life and how I might be able to change or give you specific directions as to how to practice some of the breath techniques before you even start. So I'll give you kind of like an overview of what is coming with specific catering things to you individually according to your own symptomologies or things that you're working on that you would like to address in this program. So with that, we're going to provide like a monthly support group debrief. So this one's going to be 2 hours long, so we give like ample amount of time to answer questions. And it's really to go deeper into the actual practice of the breath practices throughout the weeks that we do so that we can see on a group level how we're progressing together. And part of that is to create a sangha, a community of people who practice conscious breathing together. So, and the scientific progress tracking, this is one of my favorite things. How effective it is, it's crazy. And so, using tools and surveys for tracking emotional and physical progress, encouraging measurable growth. When you get to witness your growth over time, it kind of motivates you and shows you how you are progressing. And I think we don't do this enough in all various places of our life to just see like how we can improve like by 1% or just literally have a mirror reflected to us as to how we're doing in our lives. So the progress milestones and habit building. So habit formation is a huge part of this program. A lot of this is the part that I really think that probably uniquely stands out from other programs is that it is very intentional on helping you build a habit. And all of the descriptions in it is to actually assist you in building that habit, whether it's through community, through progress tracking, through like the different techniques that we're doing. All of it is to really focus on the habit formation of conscious breathing. So, meaning that it's really the habit of it that we're trying to build. And then what you do, what you choose to do within that, those parameters is really up to you. So it's really about the habit that we're working on for now. So we're going to focus on building a 15-minute daily practice for lasting benefits. And it's very interesting how this 15 minutes actually happens in the program. And that is actually I'm going to leave that because that's like a little inside secret one. So I'm going to leave that to the program itself. So one of the milestones is that weekly achievements and monthly debriefs for accountability and motivation. So accountability and motivation is hugely for that whole Sangha thing. And so it's designed very specifically to help experience like the noticeable mental and emotional changes by the end of like 12 weeks. So, the holistic approach to breath work, integrative yoga therapy framework. So, this is where yours truly, Nahal Harbin, as a certified integrative yoga therapist, is here to really assess the breath through the koshas, which is the five layers of the body that yoga therapists use to kind of like um, look at your overall arching health. And so the first one that we talk about is enhancing the physical health and respiratory function, very, very gross level. And then on the energetic is cultivating a sense of vitality and balance. So breath is intimately connected to prana, which is your life force energy. So people who have energetic diseases or energetic lethargy, this is really the layer of the body that we're focusing on. Um, However, there's of course the other ones that we're about to talk about. So the mental, which is building mental clarity and reducing stress, and then the wisdom layer is about promoting emotional resilience and self-awareness. And the bliss is, of course, it's kind of like your career. You could talk about it like that, in the sense of what brings you joy. So creating inner peace and joy through mindful breathing. So these are the five layers in which you're constantly going to be assessing your whole system according to these five layers of the body. And it's really interesting, like how we get to do that actually. So for people who have done the program before, they have found that there's actually a huge awareness practice that is going on throughout the whole Pure Breath program, which is you get to learn a lot about yourself through these five layers. If you're constantly scanning your body and assessing yourself and seeing how everything is going in all of these layers of the body, you start to begin to build like an incredible sense of awareness that you can then translate to various aspects of your life. So, what participants can expect to gain, which is why we are doing the Pure Breath program, right? So, the physical benefits are improved breathing capacity. That's definitely going to be a very tangible manifestation that's going to come up. So, stress reduction, huge, and your sleep is going to be better. Whenever you learn any breath practices, you learn that how you can enter sleep and exit out of sleep easily is something that's really interesting. And the emotional benefits are greater emotional resilience and reduction in trauma symptoms and support for PTSD. So the mental clarity enhances focus, mental sharpness, and work satisfaction. This was not something that I really anticipated creating. I created the Pure Breath program for doctors really to be able to make better decisions, make clear decisions in stressful times. And then there was all of these other work satisfaction and joy and love for life that I'm like, that's not what I was doing. I didn't actually create it for that purpose, but great that you're feeling that way. Hey, hey. So these were kind of like the things that kind of came afterwards after we ran the Pure Breath program that we got to see that, oh, its effect is a lot more than what I had intended. And that's fantastic. And so the personal growth, of course, some tools for lifelong wellness and a foundation and holistic healing practices. So here, maybe I want to share a story of one of my teachers. When I started my first yoga therapy training, I had a teacher named Joseph LePage. And I remember coming to the school and being like, is this for real? Are people here like really like are like is this is I was really suspicious actually. And I was really kind of like looking very sharply to be like, are they charlatans? Like what is happening? And I remember my teacher, Joseph LePage, doing an intro session where he got everyone to introduce themselves and go into like little groups. And it was about the third or fourth question that he asked. He asked, what is something in your practice that you've continuously noticed, that you've continuously learned about? And we were all kind of like thinking about like, well, how do you even answer that question, right? And then he kind of came in our group because he was like checking in on each one of them. And he came in and he talked about how um for him it was the breath that he found had limitless possibilities of discovery. And I was like, that's so interesting. It's like you don't think of the physical body because once you get to a certain point, you stretch as far as you can go, you bend as much as you can go, and then you get bored of that. And then the fourth step in yoga, to enlightenment, under the umbrella of Ashtanga yoga, the eight limbs of yoga, you go to breath. A breath is a higher step than the physical part. So I found him saying that as someone who may have been someone who kind of realized something, that him saying the point that like breath was still the thing that he was learning constantly about blew my mind. And I'm sure it was like a huge inspiration for this program as well. But I was already doing a lot of breath practices at that time. But when he said that, it kind of like gave me a confirmation like, okay, okay, cool, 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 cool. I'm on the right path. Like, I should just keep going with this. So that is like something to kind of like take. uh, People in the yoga therapy world know who Joseph LePage is. Other people do not. But that coming from him was quite something. So, program flexibility and accessibility. So it's accessible for busy schedules. So this is kind of perhaps a part of the old schedule because our schedule is going to be every Monday evening at 7 p.m. PDT time, Pacific time. Whereas before the Pure Breath program was actually there still is, and you can purchase the Pure Breath program online in the shop on the yogaavicmoiheal.com. Um, and that's where you can find like the older version. And that's more accessible for people with busy schedules. However, ours ones that's live, that's going on, it's going to be it's not actually accessible other than Mondays evenings at 7 p.m. So, again, the second point here, the supportive for different learning styles, is for the online version of the Pure Breath program, which is still really good. Um, it has like audio, visual, and live guidance. That one does not have live guidance, sorry. It allows participants to practice at their own pace for sure and adapt techniques to personal needs. So that is more of a self-paced thing, but if you wanted the support and you wanted the Sangha, which is invaluable, that's where this program would really help. So, what is the investment? The enrollment and investment for this program is 1,200 US dollars by November 15th is when the early bird is. And you can split it into two different payments or three different payments. And you got to look at the blog specifically. I believe it's 700 and 450 if you wanted to, 700 if you wanted to split it twice and 450 if you wanted to split it three times. So it's essentially a little bit more expensive at the early bird time if you wanted to do it like that. Or at the regular price on this should be November 30th, um, is when it's going to be 1,440. So the way you would sign up is to either use Eventbrite on the Instagram page, or on yeah, I think it's only on Instagram. Instagram or Eventbrite, you can go directly to the link, or you can pay through PayPal or bank transfer. So there's three options of payments that you could do. And we need like a minimum amount of enrollments in order to like start the program. So frequently asked questions and addressing questions that people usually ask about. So, missed sessions. So, recordings will be available with prior permission for those with extenuating circumstances. This program is really for you to attend live and be with the Sangha, be with the community. It is not intended for self-learning. And my intention, because there is a Pure Breath program that is digital and you can do that on your own. But this is not like that. This is really wanting the community support, the questions, the interactions, and the moving forward. Um, so if like let's say 12 of them, one of them you couldn't make it, then you can ask for like a live recording. However, if you know that you won't be able to make 3 or 4 sessions, don't even bother. Like this is really focused on like the 12 sessions. So really think about like what your time commitment level is and build your schedule around it. This is kind of why we're doing um the sharing of the program like so much more in advance in terms of timing, so that people can plan around their schedules for the new year. And starting a new year, you want to start with breath, and that could be your like New Year's resolution. So no prior experience is needed for breath. You don't have to have any training, foundational training in conscious breath practices. That's my job in helping to teach you some techniques that may be helpful. And so the flexible support, so group debriefs and consultations offer ongoing support throughout the program. So in our monthly sanghas that we have, we're going to be going through questions that people have, or like, hey, I'm practicing it this way. I don't know if it's correct, or like my schedule doesn't allow. How can I switch it up? What have other people done? So we can like really learn together like how to like move about this. So about your instructor, yours truly. Hi. Um, so my professional background is in I'm a yoga therapist, integrative yoga therapist, and I have a ERYT 200, which if people don't know what that is a Yoga Alliance, Global Alliance kind of certification. It means it's like an experienced yoga teacher of 200 hours, which is actually like more like 1,000 hours or something like that. And I'm trained also in trauma sensitive practices. So my personal experience, they say that the master level is when someone has practiced more than 10,000 hours uh of anything really. Um, and I would say mine probably surpasses that after like 9 years of practice. So I can honestly say for not many things I can say that, but for um uh for breathing consciously, it's definitely something that I've put in a lot of time to, and I really hope and am excited to like actually be supporting other people with this more intimately. So, and my passion for healing is huge. So it's dedicated to supporting trauma recovery and helping individuals build resilience through breath. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is that because I personally went through PTSD and I know how much it sucked, I did not want other people to kind of take so long in their recovery process, because we are people we got shit to do. We got shit to do in this lifetime, and spending your time in healing instead of like actually actively serving humanity and being out there and doing what you came here to do, your dharma or your life's purpose, your mission. When you're taken out like a couple times, a couple months when you have to focus on your own healing can be really frustrating. So anything that would help like speed up that process is something that I wanted to share with the world. It's certainly helped mine. You don't have to take my word for it. But honestly, it means a lot that in the end, the thing that really could help me was my own basic foundational breath practice. Even as an experienced breath practitioner, I had to go straight back to the absolute basics to start over. And I think that's very humbling to do that. And I'm really fortunate to have I had the foresight at the time to kind of be like, yeah, I know I created this program for other people, but now I need it. Now I need it. So I'm glad it kind of like worked on me really. Patient zero here. Um, but yeah. Um, so I wanted to officially kind of invite you guys to join us on this transformative journey. I think breath work is phenomenal, and I think it has really changed my life in all of the ways possible. It's made me more sensitive, more acutely attuned to other people. I've been able to calm so many people down by the process of breath and guiding their breath, whether in a physical posture or just in life in general when they're having like a panic attack. And there's really nothing better than that. So I wanted to leave my email address here. If you did have any questions to ask about the Pure Breath program, you're welcome to ask it. And for now, that is all I have to share. And what I warm-heartedly would like to invite you guys to is to join the Pure Breath program. I have a feeling that this is going to really be quite pivotal in humanity's progress. Yes, I said that. And also, and also just like thinking about how humanity is progressing in this way, we're going to need tools that are radically different to be able to support us in this process and to kind of wake us up, not only ourselves, but also the people around us. And getting connected with your breath is the fastest way to do so. I'm on a mission here to really use breath as one of, I want it to be the second most used practice, second to hand washing within public health. That's like my mission in the world is to make conscious breathing practices akin to the mind as hand washing is to the body, of how it removes all these diseases and it prevents you from getting infected. Breath practice is that for the mind. And we need to do that. So now that hand washing is more commonly known as to society as like something to protect ourselves and others, conscious breathing practices is the second. And that's my mission in this life is to make that like a central theme within the world, to be like, after COVID, we all learned that our mental health is really fragile and can be easily kind of messed with. And we need a tool, a universal tool like breath practices, conscious breathing practices to kind of protect our mental stratospheres in regards to all these outside filtrations and infiltrations of the forces that are around us. So, with that, I will end, and I look forward to seeing you on November 14th. If you have any additional questions about the Pure Breath program, I would love to share it. And you're welcome to also send me questions ahead of time, and I will use Thursday session, November 14th, 2024 session to answer that. And it's also the same Zoom link that you have this one in. It will probably be in the description of this video when I post it on YouTube. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.